Prince Harry and Meghan Markle may be facing their most difficult moment yet. Commentators are calling it a reputation crisis, a financial crisis, and even a crisis of the future of their entire brand. Behind the headlines, one question keeps getting louder. Are Harry and Meghan running out of options? Reports and royal insiders continue to suggest that financial pressure is growing, while at the same time King Charles is reportedly still hoping for a reconciliation with his son. But there is one major obstacle standing in the way, and according to some royal experts, it changes everything. Royal biographer Tom Bower has made a striking claim. As long as Harry remains married to Meghan, he says the idea of the couple returning to Britain is completely untenable. Not difficult, not unlikely, completely untenable. So what is really happening behind the scenes? Are money problems becoming a serious concern? Could Harry be looking back toward Britain while Meghan remains focused on California? And why are some commentators now questioning the long-term future of the Sussexes more than ever before? Today we're breaking down the financial questions, the growing speculation, and the claims that have royal watchers talking about what could happen next. Let's begin with the money. Let's start with the money, because nearly every part of this story seems to lead back to it. Prince Harry is far from being without resources, and that is important to acknowledge. When he turned 30 in 2014, he reportedly inherited around £10 million from Princess Diana's estate. Years later, reports also claimed he received additional funds from a trust established by the Queen Mother for her great-grandchildren. By most standards, that is a substantial financial foundation. However, critics argue that large inheritances can only go so far when paired with an extremely expensive lifestyle. A lump sum may look impressive in headlines, but maintaining luxury properties, security, staff, travel, and other costs can quickly reduce even a sizable fortune. According to commentators such as Tom Bower, the real issue is not what Harry inherited, but how much money is required each year to sustain the life he and Meghan have built in California. One of the biggest expenses frequently mentioned is security. Since stepping back from royal duties, the couple have been responsible for many of their own protection costs. Add in legal battles, property expenses, employees, and public-facing business ventures, and the bills can become enormous. Court records have shown that some of Harry's legal cases involved millions of pounds in costs, highlighting just how expensive prolonged legal disputes can be. This is why financial speculation continues to follow the Sussexes. Critics claim that money coming in must consistently outpace money going out. Unlike a traditional salary, much of their income is believed to come from major deals, projects, and partnerships. Those opportunities can generate large payouts, but they may not always provide predictable long-term income. As a result, every new business venture tends to attract intense attention and scrutiny. Supporters argue that the couple are simply adapting to life outside the royal system and building independent careers. Critics, meanwhile, question whether the original vision has fully delivered on expectations. 6 years after leaving the United Kingdom, the debate continues over whether their strategy has been a success, a work in progress, or something in between. What remains clear is that questions about money, public image, and long-term stability are still driving much of the conversation surrounding Harry and Meghan today. The original vision after leaving royal duties was often described as a completely new model of public service and independent influence. Supporters believed Harry and Meghan could build something modern and global, while critics questioned whether the plan could truly work outside the royal framework. In the early years, major media deals helped create the impression that the strategy was moving forward successfully. But large agreements do not last forever, and every major contract eventually raises questions about what comes next. This is where the money story and the relationship story begin to overlap. Commentators frequently argue that Harry and Meghan may have different priorities when it comes to the future. Some reports suggest Harry remains interested in strengthening his connection to Britain, while Meghan is focused on opportunities available in the United States. Whether those reports are accurate or not, they have fueled constant speculation about the couple's long-term direction. Recent tabloid reports have even claimed that disagreements emerged over future plans, particularly regarding time spent in the United Kingdom. Those claims remain largely based on unnamed sources, but they have generated significant attention. According to several royal commentators, the debate is less about separation and more about two people navigating very different goals while trying to maintain a shared path forward. Tom Bower has described this time as an unfortunate crossroads, a phrase that has been widely discussed. His argument is that Harry grew up in an environment where service, duty, and public standing carried enormous importance. Meghan, by contrast, built her career in a highly competitive entertainment industry where professional success and business opportunities played a major role. Critics argue that those different backgrounds naturally create different expectations about the future. For a time, those differences may not have seemed obvious. Major projects were announced, new ventures were launched, and the public image remained strong. But when business opportunities become less predictable, questions about priorities can become much harder to ignore. Some observers believe Harry values the sense of purpose and status connected to Britain, while Meghan values the independence and control that California offers. Despite all the rumors, supporters of the couple continue to insist that the marriage remains strong, and that the challenges they face are no different from those experienced by many high-profile families. Still, with ongoing financial questions, constant media attention, and competing narratives about the future, speculation surrounding Harry and Meghan shows no signs of slowing down anytime soon. Some commentators argue that the real story is not about attendance numbers at public events or anniversary celebrations. Instead, they believe the focus should be on the growing debate surrounding Harry and Meghan's long-term direction. Whether public appearances attract huge crowds or modest interest, speculation about the couple's future continues to dominate headlines. Before dismissing Tom Bower's claims as simply promotion for a book, supporters of his analysis point to something they find more significant. Their argument is that Bower is not the only royal commentator raising concerns about tensions over the future. Several writers and observers who have followed the royal family for years have expressed similar views, even if they reach those conclusions from different perspectives. For those commentators, the striking part is not the prediction itself, but the fact that multiple voices continue to raise the same questions. Critics of Meghan often claim she works hard to stay in the public spotlight through interviews, projects, photographs, and media appearances. Supporters, however, argue that public figures naturally use media platforms to connect with audiences and promote their work. The disagreement over her public image has become one of the most debated aspects of her time in the spotlight, and opinions remain sharply divided. Another point frequently raised by commentators involves the period when Harry was promoting Spare. During that time, many observers believed Harry and Meghan were fully aligned in their goals and public messaging. Critics argue that the couple shared a common purpose in discussing their experiences with royal life. However, some commentators now suggest Harry may be looking at certain events differently and may be more focused on reconciliation than confrontation. If that assessment is correct, it could explain why speculation about disagreements continues to grow. This has led royal watchers to ask a larger question. If Harry and Meghan ultimately want different things for the future, how will they balance those competing priorities? Some believe the challenge is manageable and that the marriage remains strong. Others see it as a source of increasing tension. And at the center of the debate sits a question that continues to fuel endless discussion. If Harry truly wants a closer connection to Britain again, what path would make that possible while preserving the life he has built in California? According to several royal commentators, the biggest obstacle to any return to royal life is not necessarily the palace itself, but the very different views Harry and Meghan are said to have about what that future would look like. Royal biographer Angela Levin has argued that the couple may be interested in reconnecting with royal life, but only in a way that allows them greater independence and control. Whether that assessment is accurate remains a matter of debate, but it has become a major talking point among royal watchers. Levin has also been highly critical of Harry in recent years, expressing strong opinions about his actions and public statements. However, those views are her interpretation and are not universally shared. Supporters of Harry argue that he has been navigating an unusually difficult situation involving family conflict, media attention, and the challenges of building a new life outside the royal system. Critics, meanwhile, see the situation very differently. The divide in opinion remains enormous. At the heart of the discussion is a simple question: can there be a path back that satisfies both Harry and Meghan? Commentators often point out that royal life traditionally involves accepting duties and responsibilities assigned by the institution. It is not a system built around personal control or customized roles. That reality is why some analysts believe any future reconciliation would be extremely complicated. Many observers also note that Britain appears to hold very different meanings for Harry and Meghan. Some reports suggest Harry sees it as a place tied to family, identity, and purpose. Meghan, on the other hand, has spoken publicly about the difficulties she experienced during her time in the UK. Because of that, some commentators argue that each may view the prospect of returning through a completely different lens. Recent speculation about efforts to improve relationships within the royal family has only added to the conversation. Supporters hope that damaged bonds can eventually be repaired, while skeptics believe the divisions run too deep. What continues to fuel debate is the belief among some commentators that public appearances and temporary reunions are very different from making long-term life decisions. A successful event or family gathering may generate positive headlines, but the larger question remains unchanged. Can two people with different experiences, priorities, and goals find a future that works for both of them? That is the question royal watchers continue to debate most intensely. According to some royal commentators, one of the ongoing points of discussion is whether Harry has sought a larger role within the royal family in recent years. Reports have suggested that he has looked for opportunities to rebuild connections and establish some form of future involvement. However, public evidence indicates that no major change in his official status has taken place so far. Given King Charles's health situation, many observers agree that discussions should remain respectful and focused on verified information rather than speculation. What makes this story so compelling is that it goes beyond family disagreements. Commentators often argue that the challenge is rooted in two very different visions of the future. Relationships can survive differences in opinion, career goals, or lifestyle choices. But when two people are believed to have strong attachments to different countries and different paths forward, the situation becomes far more complicated. According to many reports, neither Harry nor Meghan appears eager to fully abandon the life they value most. At the same time, some royal watchers remain convinced that King Charles would prefer reconciliation over continued division. They point to reports involving senior palace aides and argue that the king's long-term legacy may be tied to bringing family members together, rather than allowing conflicts to define the future. Others are far more skeptical and believe the distance between the two sides remains substantial. The debate continues to divide royal commentators and fans alike. What adds another layer of intrigue is that questions about Harry and Meghan's future are not new. Years before many of today's headlines, some royal biographers and observers were already raising concerns about how difficult the transition into royal life might be. According to those accounts, there were private doubts within certain circles about whether expectations, personalities, and lifestyles would ultimately align. Whether those early concerns were justified remains open to interpretation, but supporters and critics alike continue to revisit them as new developments unfold. That is why so many people still find this story fascinating years later. It feels like a debate that never truly ended. Some royal biographers have argued that concerns about Harry and Meghan's relationship existed long before the public drama that followed. According to those accounts, certain figures within royal circles believed the match could face serious challenges in the future. Critics now point to those early warnings as evidence that problems were visible from the start, while supporters argue that it is easy to make predictions look accurate after years of headlines and controversy. Either way, the debate continues to attract attention. A major part of the discussion revolves around Harry's relationship with the royal family. Many commentators believe he would like to repair some of the damage caused by years of public disagreements and tension. Reports have often suggested that King Charles remains open to improving family relations. However, observers frequently point to the strained relationship between Harry and Prince William as one of the biggest obstacles standing in the way of any lasting reconciliation. At the same time, public claims that the Sussexes are facing major relationship problems continue to be strongly disputed by their supporters. Meghan has spoken positively about the marriage, and representatives for the couple have repeatedly pushed back against rumors. Still, critics continue to examine every public appearance, interview, and separate engagement for signs that all may not be as smooth as it seems. Some commentators argue that the situation is less about conflict and more about two people trying to navigate different priorities. Questions about where they want to live, how they want to work, and what role family should play in their future have become central to the discussion. These issues, rather than dramatic public disputes, are what many observers believe are driving the speculation. The next big moment could come during Harry's expected visit to Britain for an Invictus Games event. The project remains one of his most respected achievements and continues to draw widespread support. The biggest question is not whether Harry will attend, but whether the visit could open the door to meaningful family conversations. That possibility alone is already generating plenty of interest. Tom Bower remains skeptical about the idea of Harry returning to a part-time royal role. When asked whether such an arrangement could realistically happen, he reportedly gave a very clear answer. He does not believe it is likely. Other royal commentators have expressed similar doubts, arguing that the monarchy traditionally operates with clearly defined responsibilities rather than flexible, customized roles. As attention turns toward Harry's expected visit to Britain this summer, speculation continues to grow about what the trip could reveal. Some observers believe Harry still feels a strong connection to the UK and values the charitable work he has spent years supporting. Projects such as the Invictus Games remain closely linked to his public identity and are often viewed as some of his most successful achievements. The biggest question, however, is whether Meghan will be there. Reports from various media outlets have claimed that she may choose not to attend certain UK events. According to those reports, concerns about media attention, public scrutiny, and family tensions are among the factors influencing her decision. It is important to note that much of this remains based on anonymous sources and has not been independently confirmed. For royal watchers, Meghan's attendance or absence has become a major point of interest. Some commentators argue that if she stays in California, it could reinforce the perception that Harry and Meghan are moving in different directions when it comes to their future plans. Others believe her absence would simply reflect practical considerations and should not be viewed as evidence of deeper problems. The same event can often be interpreted in completely different ways depending on who is watching. What makes the situation so fascinating is that speculation can only go so far. Statements can be issued, rumors can be denied, and reports can be challenged. But when the event finally arrives, the public will see what happens for themselves. Whether Meghan appears beside Harry or remains at home, the images from that day are likely to fuel another major round of discussion across the royal world. One issue that continues to spark debate involves the Invictus Games themselves. The event was created to celebrate wounded, injured, and sick service personnel and veterans who have overcome enormous challenges through competition and determination. These athletes, many of whom have faced life-changing injuries or struggles, remain the heart of the Games and the reason the event exists in the first place. However, some critics argue that media coverage can sometimes focus more on Harry and Meghan than on the competitors and their remarkable achievements. Commentators have also raised questions about Harry's future and his connection to both Britain and his children's upbringing. Some believe he may feel conflicted about raising his family entirely in the United States, while much of his own history, family traditions, and childhood experiences are tied to the UK. Others argue that families create their own paths and that Harry and Meghan are simply building a different life for their children. Whatever the reality may be, the topic continues to generate discussion among royal watchers. As for the marriage itself, it is important to separate speculation from fact. Tom Bower's comments about a move to Britain being untenable are not predictions of divorce, and neither are the views of other biographers who have weighed in on the situation. Harry and Meghan's representatives have denied reports of serious trouble, and Meghan has publicly expressed confidence in their future together. It is entirely possible that many of the predictions being made today will eventually prove incorrect. Still, what keeps drawing attention is the fact that several royal commentators have arrived at similar conclusions about the challenges facing the couple. Whether those challenges involve finances, geography, family relationships, or differing priorities, the discussion continues because so many questions remain unanswered. At the center of it all is a simple issue. Can two people with different visions of the future find a path that works for both of them? Now I want to hear from you. When Harry attends his next major UK event, do you think Meghan will be standing beside him? Or do you think she will remain in California? Drop your thoughts in the comments below and join the discussion. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you do not miss the next update. More stories are coming soon, and you will not want to miss what we cover next.